And we are live. Hi, thanks everyone. Welcome again, children of Dash. This is the Three Amigos podcast. We are rather short an amigo today, but definitely not short a friend. I'm Joel. We got Brian with us, and we got Chuck. Say hi, Chuck.
Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome, everybody.
Yeah, where are you right now, Chuck? Not trying to geolocate you or anything, but
oh yeah, I'm in London. I am in London, ready for the conference. I just landed this morning.
nice. Yeah, how's it turning out so far?
Oh,
Nope.
here.
Yeah, you still hearing us, Chuck?
We lost Chuck. We've lost Chuck.
It broke up.
Okay. Oh yeah, it must be
broke up for a minute.
Must be the time zone difference. Yeah, the connection that lagged. Yeah, so how's the conference been so far? First, when did it officially start?
Well, it's only a one-day conference. The Dash conference is a one-day conference, and the World Blockchain Forum that I'm attending, there may be another conference going on, but I'm here for Sunday, which is the Dash conference.
Mm-hmm.
And Tuesday, there's the World Blockchain Forum, also at the same venue.
Interesting. So you got like a whole half week ahead of you, huh?
Right. Mm-hmm.
It looks like Chuck
may
have
I'll be
a
meeting a lot of the team. Oh,
you got a Dash shirt on? Ah, there we go.
That was the open house shirt.
I picked this up at, that's right, I picked it up at the open house.
Yeah, I got one of those too, and then I was going to wear it, but I ate too much and was all bloated and gross looking, and I thought I'll put it on tomorrow and it looks better, and then I lost it at the conference. Someone took it off the chair.
Oh,
I don't have it.
That's disappointing.
Because of my vanity. Curse you, vanity.
Somebody stole it. It's probably Tao Satoshi. He's a thief.
Yes, it's all. Well, I know he has one, so
that's the only one I know. Yes, I've seen him in. Or yes. Chuck's the one that stole it.
Not calling you out, Tao. I know it wasn't.
I could have stole it. Hey, just stick with the facts. I got one too, right? But I'm pretty sure I paid for mine.
Yes, I paid for mine that I'm not even wearing because I don't have it anymore because someone took it. Well,
checking the MooBot.
Yeah. So,
statistics.
What's on your agenda, Chuck, for the conference?
So I have a presentation. I'll be following Ryan's introduction. So I'll be thankfully done like first thing in the morning on Sunday. But yeah, I'm going to be presenting on evolution. I'm going to try and bring everybody up to speed on it, clarify details, give as much information as I can as to how we're going to accomplish some certain things, what the plan is, what we've accomplished, that sort of thing. But in 20 minutes or less, because it's a packed day. So
yeah,
it's going to be a really dense presentation.
What are you leaking to us here first? Did you like the phrasing of the question? There's no real no good out.
Yeah, I didn't have a plan for leaking anything in particular. I could here. I'll show you everything that I'm not doing. See, these are my notes.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And that's page 1. Here's page 2. Here's a mind map that I'm working on. Here's some notes from a conversation. This is another mind map that I'm working on.
Wow.
I believe that's more notes than I've taken in my entire life of undergrad and postgrad. I'm not a note taker.
Well, guys, I just had a holy crap moment.
Okay.
I checked the network statistics. Holy crap, 100 terahashes.
Wow. What was it?
Oh yeah, those D3 miners got to be starting to come on.
Oh my God. Yeah, somebody was saying that they thought that we'd have 100 by the end of the year. I said, nah, that's not going to happen. So I apologize. Whoa, man, that's crazy. That's
wow.
I
came across a video not too long ago from I forget who it was. I could probably drop a link, but this guy he just spun up a D3 miner and he was playing around with different pools and he was making like $3 to $3.50 an hour with one of those new miners.
Yeah, that's have there really been ASICs for Dash before the ant miners came on?
I thought the best was the Bicol miner, but that wasn't an ASIC.
Oh, guess what? We actually have another amigo in the house. It's Albert, our Discover Dash wizard / the guy who's making that cool Dash course and wants to make it free. You can vote for his proposal if you think that's a good idea. DashCentral.org. How's it going, Albert?
It's going pretty well. How about you guys? Hello, Chuck, Brian, and Joel.
Good to meet you, Albert.
Yes, it's interesting. Our geographical distribution right now. We got West Coast, we got more or less middle of the country, we got East Coast, and we got the other side of the pond.
Right.
Here we're all just
very decentralized.
Drinking a kombucha or whatever the hell Albert's got there.
This is water.
Oh, it's lame. We got like an apple teeny or something like that.
I'll get my water.
Do you have any Monero stickers on that?
No, I got Block Cipher.
Oh, there we go. Corporate shell.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at Albert's proposal. It's passing right now. Congratulations. Looks like it's going to pass.
Thank you.
I saw that one. I was hoping that it would.
It's still terrifying.
Yes, of course. And
so, Albert, are you going to do some animations and stuff for that?
Like animations, like cartoons?
Yeah. Well, not cartoons, but, educational pieces, bits and pieces. I don't know. I didn't read the whole proposal.
I haven't decided that yet. That's more of a... I would love to actually do that if I made a whole entire cryptocurrency course just to explain like blockchain better. That'd just be more fun, but most of my focus is basically on just hands-on stuff, just overall, because Dash overall is fairly basic unless you want to like completely dive into like the whole blockchain information, I guess, or education, and then just hands-on use of like wallets and everything like that. It actually took me a while to like fully learn everything that the Dash QT wallet had to offer.
Yeah, it's definitely a long-term learning experience. I mean, I know that I didn't. It wasn't until I started doing private send transactions that I noticed. One time I couldn't send a private send transaction because it's something about not enough mixed inputs. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense because my private send balance is this much, and I'm trying to send less than that, and it should work, right? And so then I realized, each of these inputs are separately mixed. I could have sent more Dash, and I could have sent less Dash. And so I ended up figuring that, and that opened the whole coin control features where you can manually select the inputs that you send out. And then I learned, because of the BlockSci paper, about the higher risks associated with sending 10 or more private send inputs for detectability, right? And so then now when I send, I just go into coin control, and I'm just going to pick these ones there and then send that out. And then, yeah, it works a lot better. It's
wow.
But it's really and forthcoming next week, I'm going to have a paper out, or a paper. Makes me sound like smart or something. No, I'm going to have an article out about private send best practices.
I look
It's
forward
going to
to
be.
That's good. That's good. We need that.
Yeah,
I think I learned a lot just from your statement there.
Yeah, of course. So it's like you can always make the deep dive, but the thing about Dash is even pre-evolution, it's kind of like the people's coin. It's like Bitcoin used to be the easy coin, and then complications happened with, wait, now I have to do a special thing because there's going to be a chain split, and then now there's a SegWit. What's a SegWit? What's a SegWit transaction? How do I do that? Why is the network slow? Well, why was it fast yesterday? Why is it like there's all this stuff that you have to know more about now? And Dash is still you just send and it works.
I saw they're coming out with something B gold in October. Y'all know anything about that? It's another chain split or something. There's another one also beside. There's so many. It's
I
crazy.
think there's a SegWit 2x chain potential chain split coming November.
Yeah, I saw it on the Bitcoin Meister. He was saying if you got Bitcoin in October, you're going to get this B gold, and then there was some other one that he said that's out there. They should just all these little ones. I used to have a graphic. I'll try to find or a website with all.
Yeah, I figured Bitcoin Cash was going to kick off something like that because it's a great way to distribute. I mean, if you think about it on the surface, like if you want to distribute a coin instantly to a lot of people, just take an existing chain, and copy it and split from there.
Yes, to sort of hammer home the whole simplicity angle. From what I hear, with Faraz Zahabi and his TriStar Gym in Canada, right? They have a Bitcoin.com sponsorship because Roger Ver is a big Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu fan. And supposedly they're paying out in Bitcoin Cash, right? Or they started pay out in Bitcoin Cash, which I don't have any problem with, but think about it from like the random noob's perspective, right? It's just like, well, Bitcoin.com, right, is sponsoring us and they're sending us a Bitcoin, but not a Bitcoin. It's like Bitcoin Cash, which I don't know what that is. Is it Bitcoin? Is it not? But it doesn't work with this Bitcoin wallet. It has, like, it's just so confusing all of a sudden. And they've just lost that.
That's going to be trouble.
Yeah, somebody else brought up the point.
I think that might be the downfall.
Yeah, it destroys the 21 million market cap as well, or the hard numbers.
And by the way, that's one way to really, I mean, if you want to troll someone, right? That's one way to really annoy someone who's a big SegWit, core, whatever proponent, big maximalist, is just say, you know, they broke in Bitcoin's inflation control. Now there's going to be 42 million. And by the end of the year, there's going to be a cap of 63 million. And then there's like, it's not Bitcoin, it's other coins. They're altcoins. And they just start losing it. But it's an easy vector for some cheap laughs.
Or they're just using Bitcoin Cash so they don't actually have to give out Bitcoin.
What are the average transaction fees now of Bitcoin, Joel? Do you know, or anybody?
It's expensive still.
Yeah, it's still
it's a couple LOLs showed it.
It's a couple bucks average, right? The median fee is like $1.25, $1.43.
What about the Bitcoin Cash?
Oh, it's like
it's a lot cheaper. It's real cheap.
Like nothing.
Yeah. Joel cut out.
I was going to say, for an example, my Exodus wallet open right now, but some people say that those fees are technically higher than some, but for 0.076 Bitcoin or $274, it's $10.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, on the Bitcoin Cash?
No, or just regular Bitcoin. Or are we talking about Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Both, yeah.
I'm not sure about Bitcoin Cash. I sold all of that.
Joe's still frozen in time. He's a master of ceremonies too. I hope we continue. He's frozen out. He may have to run to the local cafe or something.
So wait, Chuck, you are going to London?
He's there.
Yeah,
you're
I'm
there
there
right
now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm in London right now. Yeah. That's what he was referring to across the pond.
I was like, oh, now there's two Joels.
Now there's two Joels. Oh my God.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh yeah. I'm double. I cloned myself. Just one wasn't enough. We needed.
What happened?
It just must have been a connection thing. Yeah, the page crashed, and then there you go.
So I have a tidbit. I have an evolution tidbit that came up because you mentioned evolution, and one piece that I learned while I've been working for these guys. So this might be a shock to you, Joel.
Oh.
Will not be called evolution.
Ooh. Is that
evolution? Is a code name. It has like ice cream and
ice cream
jelly
sandwich.
donut and so on and so forth. Right, whatever it is.
Nice.
Right. That's one of the things that I've learned since working here, and I'm putting it in the presentation just to set the record straight. That, I mean, depending on what like Ogilvy does with our marketing and the branding direction, and we go forward with that. Hopefully we do, because I've been hoping for branding since I started. I'm like, we need branding because, what we have is great, but it's not. There's nothing developing there. We don't have a strong message. We don't have like there's just some missing parts. So a strong, cohesive branding and message platform is something that's going to be helpful.
So is it still going to be called Dash?
Yeah, well, it's going to be Dash.
Yeah,
still going to look
whatever it is.
Like
it's going to be Dash.
Thing back here.
They better keep that D.
Evolution,
I like that D.
I don't know.
Dash. I like that.
I can't speak for it. There probably will be. If you read the proposal, they're talking about logo changes or updates of some kind. So, I mean, I hope that they're careful with it.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, because here's the big thing. Not only is Dash a completely distributed network, but you know how anti-authoritarian a lot of crypto enthusiasts are. So how many people do you think are just going to say, nah, I'm going to use that? Like, let's be honest. How many people of us are still going to call it Dash Evolution forever?
I was upset when I first learned that. I'm like, what? How can we not use evolution? Why not? Like, it's going to be a shock to a lot of people.
Yes, it's like it's the middle name of my hypothetical child by now. You know, it's like it's a part of our DNA. Evolution.
My next dog is going to be named Dash. Yeah, that's
what mine is, Brian.
Yeah,
Stealing could be another one called Evo.
That's crazy.
Yep,
Eva. Name your daughter Eva. So it's like after evolution.
Yeah, they have in Denver they have Mile High Stadium, and now it's like Mile High Stadium at Invesco something. I always just call it Mile High Stadium. I don't like Pepsi Center. No, it's Mile High Stadium.
Right. Yeah. The branding.
Yeah.
So hopefully whatever happens is good, but it probably will not be evolution.
Well, it did scare me a bit on reading that with the rebranding. It did scare me a bit. Hopefully they do. Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit worrisome, but I don't know. They're supposed to be good, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's decent and very much in line. I remember a specific case, right, is in the Phoenix Valley where I used to live. There was this mountain, the big mountain right there is, other than Camelback, used to be called Squaw Peak, right? And then everything, the Squaw Peak area, all dozens of businesses and schools and everything like that were all named Squaw Peak Dry Cleaning, Squaw Peak Taekwondo, Squaw Peak everything. And then apparently they decided squaw was not a politically correct word anymore. And so they renamed it to Piestewa, who I don't remember exactly who she was, but some Native American gal.
I don't know. I'm offended at Piestewa. I got to change it again.
So now Piestewa Peak, which no one can spell or whatever. I don't mind the name, but the big thing is they didn't consult all these people. And now it's like Squaw Peak Dry Cleaning. They're saddled with this name, and they can't just change their business name, their LLCs, their everything to just like Piestewa Peak. Whatever.
It's better than I guess it's better than Geico Peak or something like that. So
yeah, Geico Peak.
Not yet, Brian.
Pepsi Peak. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, or like Ho Chi Minh City or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that's going to be interesting to see how the community interfaces with whatever the marketing decisions happen, because like if Coca-Cola calls itself something different, they have a lot more control over that because it just centralized control, centralized branding, whatever. And it's like, for example, the whole fight over Bitcoin / B Core and Bitcoin Cash / B Cash, and just all of what they're trying to tell people.
No matter what we do, there's going to be arguments. I've talked to people who are still in love with Darkcoin and upset that it moved from Darkcoin to Dash.
I was at first, but I love Darkcoin. But now Dash has grown on me. I love Dash. It's digital cash. I love it.
Well, I've still seen some.
Hopefully, whatever happens, that'll be the case.
I've seen some recent posts, some like recent content for Dash that still uses the Darkcoin logo, like this year, right? Yeah, which is a very subtle difference, but it's still there. I mean, I personally don't see why we had to change the D's, man. But if they have some other weird looking D, but what if they take like, you know how the Monero logo is like set up like that with the line and the M separated? What if they do that with like a D? It's like dinero.
I won't even. It's something that's so sensitive to people, and like that's why I'm like, we just need a good branding person who's going to understand the psychology of not only the market but the people who are already involved. Like I came into Dash after it had already been rebranded to Dash. Yeah. So, I don't have any qualms about, the old Darkcoin or the Xcoin, and learning about the history is cool, but that's old news for me.
I could almost always, or just see, instead of Dash Evolution, just because the code name Evolution is like a step forward, but like more of a branding perspective, I could see it as like legitimately Dash Pay.
The Darkcoin was perfect at the time.
That's more likely.
Yeah,
Darkcoin is great. It really got Dash this. This cool branding and community, and it had to grow past that, sure. But like, I don't think that the crypto world was ready for a Dash back then, right? I remember back in the 2014, I was at the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and they had some vendor was accepting Darkcoin for bacon pancakes of all things.
Oh, nice.
And with the whole Adventure Time, make a pancakes little like logo thing there. But so I was like, oh, what's this dark coin? I kind of looked into it. I was like, this sounds cool. And I didn't have any, but if I had, I would have used it and I would have kept some. And then it wasn't until well after I was into Dash that I was like, oh, that's that dark coin thing. Oh, like I made the connection. So I'm sure that any kind of rebranding is going to sort of throw people off. But yes, anyway,
yeah,
evolution.
you know what? Now that you mentioned that, that actually happened to me. I came across the dark coin stuff in some of the forums between Dash and dark coin until very much later. I'm like, oh, that's part of Dash's history. Yeah, it was a while.
Or before Darkcoin, wasn't it Xcoin?
Very
like
rare,
a day, right?
Yeah, first short
it
period of time. Yeah.
Like when it first launched.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
the dark coin came from the dark wallet. I think that's kind of where it was derived from because it was really anonymous. There was a huge anonymous buzz back then, and yeah, it worked at the time. It was perfect. I loved the name. That's what drew me to it. Yeah, and then, but yeah, I hated to see it go. I was skeptical, but yeah, Dash is growing on me now.
Yeah, well, now it's like an interesting bit of culture. The same artist that you can get these from here has a dark coin art piece that has like the anonymous, like the V for Vendetta guy with like the anonymous mask and stuff on an old retro dark coin logo. And it's like they haven't made a Dash version yet. So like all they have is this like cool old vintage. Just like when you're looking at this, it's like, what's the happening? Like when with a 12.5, like what people don't know what that means unless they're part. And then you get to be that person that can just explain, well, come here on my lap, little Sonny. Back in the day.
Right.
And it's
I
like,
remember hitting refresh on that day.
yeah, I mean, like, who here has seen Blue Harvest?
What is that?
Yeah.
That was the code name, the working code name for Return of the Jedi.
Wow. I did not
So that was their own like evolution. Like, oh, we're filming Blue Harvest because they didn't want people to be all over the set about, oh, new Star Wars movie. So yeah, so evolution is our Blue Harvest.
Evolution is a great name.
Yeah, I think it's an
Yeah,
interesting.
I like it.
I also like the connotations for it's not like evolution's out. It's like, well, when is evolution going to be out? Can anyone give a date to that? Can anyone even? It's not just it's out and then it's over. It's like an evolving process.
Yeah. So that's
evolution.
part of what I'm discussing also.
Yeah.
And you'll see. Hopefully, these are going to be recorded and broadcast or transmitted somehow, some way. But I can also tell you guys that to clarify the evolution thing, it's not just a product. We're going to do an evolution wallet, and that's what we're calling it internally. Using evolution to qualify the platform upgrades that we're making. So evolution is also the platform. It's also the network. So it's two
Massive
things.
service.
It's a product and a platform.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. I like that Dash is just like a one-word thing. And unfortunately, in some languages, it means other things, but it still is like the D logo, just like the B, the Bitcoin logo. It's just like a very recognizable, easy to draw. You just go, right. It's just like, it's one of those things that really works for viral sort of promotion. And it's interesting because like all this corporate high-minded kind of stuff coming from like one sector of the Dash ecosystem has to sort of take into account the whole rest of the network. For example, all these people, I just wrote an article today about Nigeria and Ghana are just going crazy over Dash now. They're having a bunch of successful meetups and people are just, after they get over the initial skepticism of internet scam money, then they see, well, this stuff's really cool. I can get on my mobile phone. I'm used to using mobile money because I don't have banking services around here. This stuff is cool. And then I check the charts. Tomorrow it's gone up. It's like, wow, this is a big game changer. And then there's just like the what is Dash, right, is a question that cannot be answered by any one person. It's kind of more of a personal question now because like, what is Dash to you? And then like, what happens when the network decides to vote for some big thing, some team, some new proposal, some whatever that the core team doesn't necessarily agree with? It's like, well, that's Dash too. We're all Dash. It's just a different part of Dash. And it's not like, that's also going to be interesting. It's funny because I'm very much enjoying how the core team has become has been able to interface with these larger entities, right? Like large advertising firms, stuff like that. It's like that kind of yay, we made it thing. But I also kind of pity, or don't want to be in that place, because can you imagine talking to corporate executives about what is Dash, and not just, oh, it's just a thing we run. It's like, well, gotta break it to you, we don't actually run this, and we can't quite just have a board meeting with everyone who does. So I mean, we can see what happens with what we do, but then just other people could come in, they just, now we're going to do something different. And just like, well, you talk to an advertising firm and they just say, well, we're going to start using this logo now, we're going to do this, we're going to make sure that this is the messaging that we put forward and all this kind of stuff. And then, oh wait, no, Dash funded a thing that goes a completely different branding direction. And they're just like, no, guys, don't do it. But you can't really control it, because it's this living organism. It's a decentralized autonomous organization. And this is going to be an interesting trial by fire for a lot of companies, because now they're having to work with something that's not just a corporation they can just talk to. They got to sort of deal with this organic thing. And I really do not think Dash is going to be the last successful decentralized autonomous organization. This is setting the standard. There's going to be a lot like this. So better get used to it, corporate world. You're going to have to deal with a lot more organizations like this.
Yeah. I got a couple comments on that. One, I spoke at a meetup a couple weeks ago, and there was a business owner there, and he really loved how, and this is like a serial entrepreneur kind of guy, and he really loved when he realized that Dash was like, oh, it's digital cash. He's like, oh my God, you guys have the perfect marketing name. It's digital cash. And once he understood it, like, that was a big thing for him, and he's really excited about that. But on the other side of the the decentralized aspect of trying to control the branding and the message and all that kind of stuff, a lot of thought, because I know that we need it, but I also want to adhere to the decentralized nature of this whole thing, right? So I think for my part, what I want to do is I want to create a place, and I've already started this with my team, a place that is the UI hub. That just, like, if you search for Starbucks style guide, something where you land and you get like everything that's related to Starbucks. Any graphic designer or anybody who's going to work on Starbucks, like, they get all of the messaging, all of the presentation material, like all the logos, the vector graphics, everything's available. I want to make that available so that anybody who needs the latest graphics, needs to update themselves with the latest treatment, understand how it should be treated, it should land there. We'll have a style guide. So that'll be something that'll be available to developers and designers that are, implementing it for whatever else they're going to do. That's how I'm going to help out with it. But it's got to be one of those things where you attract people to it.
It's going to be interesting, because the Dash community is just sort of starting to get into arts and culture and things like that. And so at some point there might be like almost a few parallel graphical visions, right? A few parallel visions for Dash, like, running. And so some people might take it in a completely different direction and still be Dash, and some people might take it another one and still be Dash. It's like, it's one of those things that, like, now we're starting to get a little bit like nationalistic or whatever. It's like, what is it like to be from a country? Like, what does it mean to be European, right? Do you have this? Is it like this EU-centric thing? Are you more like, well, this is me. I'm Croatian. I'm not really European. I don't identify as European. I'm Croatian, or whatever. Like, what do you? Or also like Spaniard, right? Are you Spanish? Well, are you Catalan? Because then you might not consider yourself Spanish. Then there's the whole like identity thing about trying to tell people who they are, and it gets a little bit messy as long as there's this sort of top-down attitude of, this is the way it has to be. Everyone has to be on the same page. Well, the only page everyone has to be on is that we're not all on the same page, Yeah,
I could definitely see the Dash logo, the branding, like Dash Mexico, Dash British, and have the different flags or colors kind of incorporated in there for sure. That's going to happen.
I think it'd be sweet if it was.
Well, you're definitely hitting it.
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off, Albert.
Oh, no, I thought I was cutting you off.
Chuck's on a delay. I think Chuck's on a delay.
That could be. That could. I'm on the other side of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
I was going to say though, this identity thing. You really touched it on the head there, Joel. In that, like, once you start talking about identity, that's where people get extremely sensitive. And anybody who identifies with Dash, really, they're creating this vision in their mind of what Dash is, and then they're identifying with that. And
what was that old song?
Thing or
what
any
is Dash?
body.
Bitcoin don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. No. Sorry, go on.
No, that's it. That was pretty much it. It's just about identity, right? And I guess my point is that the less people are able to, or the more they're able to keep their own identity to themselves and let other entities be their own identity and not attach themselves, then it's okay for it to change. I think if people can do that, that's a hard thing. Like, so if our branding changes, nobody's going to be hurt. Nobody's going to have their feelings hurt if we change the branding and their identity isn't attached to it. But that's a hard thing to do because, like me, like Dash is my tribe. I feel a little bit of consternation about it, but I'm mentally preparing myself for this coming change. And I'm going to tell the audience and everybody out there, let's mentally prepare ourselves for change so that we can welcome in more of the world into this community, whatever it's going to be.
It's going to be interesting because Bitcoin has an extremely solid branding, right? All around the logo. I don't know who came up with the logo. This is where I'm totally ignorant. I came to Bitcoin too late. But as for like the logo that anyone recognizes, the color, and then if someone wanted to rebrand Bitcoin, can you imagine? Like, first, who would decide to call it something else? Like what, the core developers?
Yeah.
Like, would everyone else?
Where would that come from?
Yeah, where would that come from? Who would get on board? And then people would just like reject the idea pretty much right out of hand.
Well, that'd be pretty centralized if Bitcoin was just straight up rebranded, like overnight, essentially.
Yeah,
or orange color was changed to green or something.
Well, like it would be difficult to even attempt to do that sort of thing. And then you got like with Dash, you have an organization within Dash that is attempting to do something like that. And it's sort of done with the consent of the community, right? And that's the thing that people mistake is they mistake consent for control, right? They think that because the community is happy with what Core's doing, very largely it seems, they mistake that for Core's pulling the strings, right? And so it's an interesting sort of harmonious thing. There's always going to be a few little outliers, but then eventually, hey, let's put it to a vote. Vote with your masternodes. What's going on? And then it's like that silences things. I noticed that like trolls, discontents, all the people like that tend to thrive more in other communities because even if most people don't agree with them, there's no way of proving that, and they keep, I want to do my thing, I want to do this. And with Dash, eventually, any kind of disagreement like that, just it boils down to a masternode vote, and then the vote's over, and then
it's done.
And I find a lot of those trolls,
and part of me wonders if a lot of the people who are, bothered by the results of some of those votes are the ones who are forking off and creating these other coins that are copies of Dash. I think that's an opt out. That's a way to opt out. If you don't like what's going on, copy it and start your own. Like, that is an option.
Yeah, that's been a very interesting thing I've noticed though, is the vote is a mechanism for ending debate, right? You debate before, but after there's a vote, there's not much to talk about anymore. And I've noticed plenty of people had some sort of vision for what was supposed to happen with Dash, and after a failed masternode vote, they kind of went away. It's kind of a beautiful thing because in other communities they just hang around a whole lot, then the interesting thing about like Dash had a few trolls and haters and stuff like that back in the day, and back in the day of last year.
It's still going.
Yes.
On. What are you talking about?
And then there was a few in particular who got very upset with the core team, and they submitted some proposals that did not go well. And after that, they just exited the community. It wasn't, despite them being the sort of characters who might hang around and cause trouble for longer. After the vote, it just, what is there to say? They exited the community. A few of them joined Pivx, and then a few of those same are now, I believe, a Smart Cash. And so it's like whatever, just jump to different projects, but it's like that sort of to a certain extent, the masternodes voting no is almost like that old timey. You're dancing on stage, you get the cane, just yanks you away by the neck. Just like, nope, done. Like,
Right,
we're done
right.
talking. We've seen enough.
Getting booed off the stage on the Apollo Theater, man. That's what it is.
Back in the day, there was a coin. There was a split. I don't remember if this was before voting or after voting. It was called spread coin. I don't know if y'all have heard of that, but a lot of the community, or not a, yeah, not a lot of the community, but several prominent members of the community went to spread coin, and I don't think it ever did anything. I think it might have been in the top 100 at one time, but now I think it's just a dead project.
So, in the live chat, Graham DeBarra, Bitcart CEO, says Bitcoin.com tried to rebrand Bitcoin. I don't remember that. Wasn't in the weeds enough to remember that. Does anyone know who he's talking about?
That's Roger
That's
Ver.
probably before my time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's talking about Bitcoin. Let's see what he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about Bitcoin Cash or something.
That's the only thing I would think.
Well, Bitcoin.com rebranded itself not too long ago, like I want to say mid to late 2016. Bitcoin.com went through a rebrand itself, but that was the website. I don't know if they were trying to rebrand all of Bitcoin.
I think it was just the website.
This person on the chat might be like to Bitcart and some attempt that they went through.
Oh, somebody's on. Oh, that's Joel again.
Yeah. I don't know what's up today. I'm just crashing all over the place. But anyway, I'm back. The interesting thing about the whole branding and decentralized community stuff is this, for me, it's not a very difficult thing to adjust to, because back in 2013, I moved to New Hampshire for the Free State Project, which is a initiative to get a bunch of people believing in a lot of the same underpinnings as Dash, right? Like financial sovereignty, all to move to one place to form an intentional community. And the Free State Project is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And there's always been like a little bit of a like that kind of herding cats thing of like, how do you exert influence or lead a community of people that they just says, I believe in freedom, I'm moving here. And like, how do you differentiate the organization from just the members who just like show up, and you can't really, after they moved, you can't like kick them out of the organization. They're just free people. Like, how do you exert control over a completely decentralized community? And you kind of like exert a little bit of leadership. And so that's the thing about like people saying, oh, Dash has a CEO. It's like, nah, not exactly. Part of Dash has a CEO, and that part of Dash does have a certain amount of influence over the rest of it. But it's like, it's this interesting symbiotic relationship that's kind of a little bit, it's very radical, because people are either used to a structure or lack thereof. And Dash is kind of like both. And that's something people aren't really ready for.
It does take a certain level of maturity to know when to lead and when to follow, and that's there's definitely a lot of that's been happening since I've been employed with Dash. Working in the core team, seeing the conversations. Sometimes, very rarely, there'll be debates and things going on in the Slack channels, and somebody will come in and say, hey, let's focus on this, guys, and let's go this direction. And conversations that happen in direct channels, but generally it'll be like, okay, that's done, let's move forward. And other times it's but so that would be a case where like everybody's trying to lead and everybody's trying to get their input and everybody's trying to like say, hey, let's go this direction, let's go this direction, let's go this direction. But then somebody does step up and say, hey, let's focus on this. And if this that they propose is the right idea that everybody can get behind, like the whole idea of the crypto that your grandma can use, that like trumps everything. If anybody's having any petty disagreements about what's going to be better for this or that, or technical disagreement or whatever, if somebody comes down and says, okay, well, what's going to be better for grandma? And there is a clear go one direction. And it seems like that's one of the things that we can all agree on. It's like, what's going to be best for grandma? Can we do this? So there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Yes, and
challenge, but you do have to have some maturity.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people really don't get the whole thing, and for example, there's a tweet today that I was looking at. Charlie Lee, the founder of Litecoin, was tweeting on Ethereum and on the Raiden network, which is, I guess, an off-chain payment channel. They're holding an ICO apparently in order to fund development. And Charlie Lee says, "So disappointed to see Raiden, i.e., Lightning on Ethereum, go for a cash grab. A token is not needed." And for one thing, it's kind of an annoying, like, this guy's hating on funded development. Like, what's the matter with trying to raise money to build awesome things? It's a little bit ridiculous, but then it also reminds me of, like, can you imagine if Dash had to do an ICO for stuff? Like, every couple of years, there would just be a new Dash ICO. It's just like, we got to just sell these little tokens to people, and then we raise a bunch of money and can do stuff. And it's just like, it's nothing wrong with the concept of ICOs. They're a very interesting way of raising large amount of capital over a short period of time. But that's not like for consistent organization. It's kind of an awkward way of continually funding development, for example.
Yeah, they go to the beach afterwards. Joel, you wrote that great article a while back about, the ICOs and how it makes people lazy, and how our system is way better. That was a great article.
Well, I mean, thanks for...
Yeah, I think I remember reading that, and I was like, you know what? That's true. What you wrote in that article was true, because it's my livelihood, right? I don't have a whole bunch of money sitting out. I still have to work for a living. And if I'm not getting my work done, I don't get paid. And since I get paid monthly, like, I have to make sure that I get a month's worth of work done every month, so it's such a challenge,
I mean, thanks for the props and stuff, but I didn't even come up with the idea for that article. It was actually a member of a successful Ethereum ICO who told me that, right? He was possibly like a little bit, these a lot of like coder types tend to be a little bit like socially very candid, even when like sort of like Evan Duffield goes up on stage. He just says what he's thinking. Like, sometimes there's no filter on it. Sometimes it's like, can you spin it in a better way? No, there's no spin with Evan. So this guy,
well, that makes it more unique.
Yes, this guy, Michael Tui, he's a member of Swarm City, right? And Swarm City was an ICO, one of the very few, in my opinion, very few promising ICOs to come out of Ethereum to create like.
It's actually one of the very few that I bought into.
Well, there you go. I guess you know what I'm talking about. Good team. Unfortunately, they lost a whole bunch in a hack, so that sucks. But they seem to be doing good work. Anyway, he said that they had the ICO problem where you have developers and they just try to raise money. They're fantastically successful, and then they like work 3 to 4 days a week, kind of like most days, and then they just spend the rest of the day on the beach because I'm doing great. Like, there's no sense of urgency. There's no like, oh my gosh, if I don't get this done, like, nothing happens. And I've sort of so here I'm gonna do a contrast which makes Zcash look not as good and Monero look better. So that's definitely out of my habits, but it is what it is, right? I noticed that whatever else you can say, the Monero community has a lot of energy and a lot of hustle, right? Just like all the Twitter polls, what's the best price? These vote. Everything on Reddit, they're all over the place. Like, all these kinds of like artwork. They got like the artwork game going where they got a bunch of people making a bunch of paintings and things like that. They got a lot of stuff going on, right? They're very energetic. And Zcash has a similar funding mechanism to Dash, the founder's reward, right? Which is like a similar thing like the treasury, except it's not voted upon. It just, they get it. So there's a little incentive to make sure Zcash does okay, because obviously if the value of Zcash is nothing, the founder's reward doesn't really mean that much. But also I've noticed there's not a lot of energy coming out of the Zcash community. There's like 1 or 2 people I know who are very energetic about it. But for the most part, it seems like the developers are just really focused on making an airtight product. They're developing away. But as far as who is using Zcash, who's working hard to integrate, no one seems to care. Zcash is kind of just chilling there. And there's just something about that like the hunger, like the Monero community has that hunger, and that hunger is a great thing. And I think that the Dash community also has that hunger, just more resources to deal with it, right? But there's that same thing about your proposal can be voted down. Just there you go. I mean, Core's gotten some proposals voted down as well in the past. It's just like no one's safe. Like you're only safe if you're kicking ass time after time, right? And there's always that like, you know, how many times a day am I going to refresh Dash Central to see how I'm doing? There's always that like anxiety that keeps you like in the 2-3 weeks before proposal time. You got to be like examining yourself. Did I work hard?
The community. But yeah, I was just going to say some of that could just be the size of the community. Like Zcash is very much newer than Monero, right? By a few years.
Lot, yeah.
Right?
No, or didn't Zcash come out? Was it last year?
Yeah, it's really new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Litecoin,
so that could be part of it.
Yeah, Litecoin doesn't have that enthusiastic of a community compared to like a Monero or us. Obviously, Bitcoin. NIM is another one that doesn't have. They have a centralized structure. But one thing y'all said something about Dash Central. Oh my God, there's so many proposals. I can't keep up. I don't think I voted on all of them even last month. I don't know how I'm gonna. There's just so much, man. I think we may set.
You know what? That reminds me of another thing that I saw a video proposal for a bunch of guys to come up with some metrics to kind of standardize the way that proposals get evaluated. Did you guys see this video? I forget who it is. There's these two guys that are big Dash fans and Dash investors, and they're trying to get a masternode.
Yeah.
Younger guys. One of them is an accountant background kind of guy. There's a new hire on our team, Alexander Chopin, who is working with me on some process stuff, right? And we're trying to take the projects that I've got in front of me and give it like a standard kind of view of this is green light, yellow light, red light, kind of picture where you can kind of run down and just at a glance see the status or the health of a project. And we want to come up with something like that for the masternode network. But at the same time that Alexander and I were talking about this, these two guys, and I wish I had their name, but I'm sure we can pull it up at some point. They want to put together a proposal to do just that, to come up with an evaluation system for future proposals, so it can just kind of be run through the ringer of the health of the picture of the project from all these aspects that we care about.
I really like that idea.
Yeah, it sounds pretty cool, and of course, proposal valuation type things have been much more topic du jour ever since there's been more money we know what to do with. I remember back in the day, some of the more toxic elements of the former Dash community were upset that Core was taking 80 to 90% of the monthly budget. And they're just like, oh, we got to get them to pledge to just take less because they're greedy corporate whores are taking everything, whatever, all that kind of stuff. And then I remember when the price really started going up, you know, there were a couple big core proposals, but then there was a couple cycles in there where pretty much the budget was not used. Like almost all of it was just not used. Core was just like, we got just so much money we don't know what to do with. We don't even take more. It's too much of an accounting.
Well, I don't think,
So,
and if you prod Ryan about it, it's like some of the previous proposals, the remaining value of Dash went up so much that there's like that it has always been said any leftover funds will be dedicated to this purpose. So future proposals don't need as much. Not only that, but of course with the value going up, that's really helpful. And one thing that I realized, or I learned very recently, by comparison, apparently a lot of the Blockstream guys, the guys working at Blockstream, their contracts are in set Bitcoin amounts, not in set dollar amounts. Whereas with the Dash team, it's dollars. Our contracts are pegged to the dollar, so we don't make more as the. We always get paid an equivalent Dash of contractual dollar amount.
Could be more, like in 4 months or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Now we do that in Dash Force. We peg it to the Dash. So if it goes up, we get more. If it goes down, we get less.
Yeah.
We do a 3-month cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's happened before. It's been like just now, right? It was 400, and I'm like, woohoo, and then it's like 218. I'm like, oh, and just like, okay,
Right,
I can't.
right.
buy groceries. I gotta just eat what's in the fridge. I'm just gonna like not buy groceries for a month. You
Just
see
eat
what
those
happens.
ice chips.
Obviously not that bad, but I mean, I've had times when I was working for Bitcoin where it took a dip, and then I had like enough for rent and like a couple $100 left over, and then I had only enough for rent, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta literally. I've had those weeks. That's the thing is like people think, oh, crypto, you must be rich. It's like no. As recently as this year, I've been like, all right, how much groceries can I get for $10.50 in US dollars? Like, you know, when you're trying to be hardcore.
I think it's worthwhile to paint a picture. When I came into this, like, I'm going to be straight up. Like, I have an ex-wife. I pay child support. Picked a paycheck most of my life, and I wasn't able to get any savings together until I started trading crypto back in 2015. That's when I actually just got a little bit of like emergency fund together. And since then, like now I'm starting to plan ahead and pay the month's bills so that I can ride it out if it dips. Because there was 1 month since I've been working for Dash, it took a big dip. I can't remember which month it was, maybe it was June. And I didn't pay all my bills right away. And then I started getting scared because I didn't have enough to pay my bills.
Mm-hmm.
But thankfully it started coming back up and I was able to do it. But man, that was a painful month for me. That was a hard one.
Yeah, I remember a few like that. In fact, when the Dash open house happened, there was a time when like I was writing a lot for Cointelegraph, right? And then I caught the Dash bug, unfortunately, right? And so I was just obsessed with Dash for a while. And that was when the Dash Force was first starting out, and I was just doing the troll patrol, right? Doing the online commenting, messaging stuff for tips. And I was just working really hard doing that stuff. Not out of any sense of obligation or anything, but because this really caught my mind. This was cool stuff. And during that time, there was a bunch of stuff going on in my life, but I completely neglected to do a lot of work. And so I was like going to be short on rent because I spent too much time doing Dash Force stuff. And I was like, I really hope I don't have to ask my girlfriend for a loan or something like that. But then the price of Dashes went to like $100 from $10. And so my Dash Force tips are what paid for my rent that 1 month.
And you hate spending it, don't you? Mm-hmm. Like when it's there, it's like, I don't want to spend this money.
Yeah.
But
it's like all those the stories of struggle, people trying to like get through with this. And that's the thing is, it's a different breed of person who ends up being successful with cryptocurrency for the most part. There's a new breed of people that's just kind of like, oh, I'm going to buy this, I'm going to invest in it, it's going to go up, I'm going to make money. But back in the earlier days, you had a lot of people who just said, this is cool stuff, I'm just getting all into this because it's cool. And then all of a sudden you have someone who still buys their clothes at Walmart who just like all of a sudden just gets like 50 grand a month in masternode returns or whatever. And it's just like they don't know what to do with it's not that they don't know what to do with the money, they don't have uses in what they want out of life for all that money. They're just like, it's just numbers, I don't care. They're just all about the tech. And I mean, I'm not like a techie person really, but it's like for me it's sort of the same thing of as long as I can make rent, like this is the thrill of it. And there's been a lot of disagreements in the crypto community with a lot of new people coming on board. But woo, cash money, it's going up, it's going up. I just refresh and buy more Bitcoin, the market goes up. And it's like, yeah, but that's not what it's about. It's about like much greater things. And like it's about how your life can be made better and people's lives can be made better and freer without the numbers going up.
Yeah, I keep thinking of that. I think I struggle with that. I struggle with that very thought because, you know, I'm the kind of person like for the first time in my life, I'm working in a job where my purpose, my morals, and my work are all aligned. Like I'm bringing financial freedom to the world, and that's what I want to do in the way that I do.
That's also known as you've won at life.
But the thing is, like most people, in my like experience, it seems like 80% of people could care less about that particular thing. They're not interested in finding what their purpose is. They're not interested, or maybe it's just too hard. Maybe they don't give it the thought or the introspection enough to figure out what they want out of life, their work into something that is, you know, politically motivating or emotionally motivating. You know, most people hate their jobs. Most people are disengaged with their work.
Yes, the nirvana moment is like there's a lot of people who go through a bunch of terrible jobs. They're like, oh, this sucks. This is great, whatever. And then they finally figure out what they want in life, and then they get a job or whatever that aligns everything just like that. The next level beyond that is where you have no idea that you're living your dream, because that's just your life. You're full on in life, and you have to sort of take a step back to be like, well, now that I think of it, I'm doing some amazing, incredible, awesome things for the right reasons, and I'm loving every minute of it, and I'm living a successful life. Like, you have to actually take a step back to realize how happy you are. That's when you've like won the lottery, because you never had to do this soul searching, kind of figure out and put things together. And of course, not everyone just jumps right into it, but that does happen a lot. I think with cryptos, people just see this thing and they get obsessed, and before you know it, that's what all they're doing, and they have to step back and just be like, wow, I really,
but I think for a lot of people,
lucky.
it's just, that's a mind virus. You know, it's like an addiction to, like, when I was doing a lot of trading, like, it woke me up all in the middle of the night, but I didn't feel that purpose kind of thing. And you know, I started reaching out to people and saying, hey, I want to work in the Bitcoin space. I want to put my effort toward this thing, and started making contacts in the community. You know, this is before Dash, but that's when I really felt that pull. But I don't think that, I wonder what percentage of humanity goes through life and dies and never touches any of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Well, the interesting thing is, I'm glad that that's the thing we're talking about now, because just 100 years ago, what percent of the humanity just dies? Like, just doesn't get a chance to survive. And now that people are surviving, they get to be picky about how they survive. Like, that for me is a very inspirational message, that so many people like, oh, I gotta go to get a job, I gotta go through get like half my paycheck taken out by taxes, and then the bank screwed this thing up, and they get that is people's that's people's hell, when that's kind of stability and survivability is kind of heaven in different contexts. Like, and that I like that we're moving to the point where every single whiny, spoiled little terrible, shitty millennial complaint is now like a valid thing that you can fix. It's not just, well, we'll grow up. It's just like, well, no, we can actually have these things. It's not just like, oh, well, back in my day, I walked 10 miles to the post office. It's like, yeah, and well, in my day, we won't have a post office. It's like, I think that's incredibly inspirational, that now you can basically afford to be what people would call as like spoiled and privileged as you want. And that's actually a viable life thing. That's what the future is about.
Yeah. Do we have any comments on the chat? Any questions?
Woo. When will we make a space for others to join? Like 2 weeks ago. Are we talking about the after party?
Yeah, that's coming.
I kind of want to take a step back when Chuck was talking about the green, yellow, and red light. One thing that I could see already being implemented, like on Dash Central, for example, is like the side upvotings before you actually dive into the proposals and read it, is just all the side votings that are upvoted should actually appear more towards the top instead of just the order that they were posted.
I don't understand. Say that again.
So for example, if you just like pop on Dash Central right now, there's the continuation.
The comments.
Like the side upvotings, because for the marketing and communication by Baby Giraffe has 3 upvotes, but then the proposal above that, Dash integration in Nakamoto, has 3 negative up or down votes. So the Dash Central or Baby Giraffe's proposal should be above that one. So like the more negative votes you have, the further down the page you go.
I think it's chronological. Before that gets changed, though, I'd really like to see the troll problem fixed. Like the House of Nakamoto thing sounds like a pretty good thing. I mean, the House of Nakamoto is a famous spot in Vienna that's like been a Bitcoin crypto hub forever. And now they're wanting to integrate Dash into all their stuff and get a Dash ATM and all this kind of cool stuff, which is going to be cool because November 11th, I'm going to be speaking in Vienna at the Students for Liberty conference. And I'm going to be speaking about Dash, giving away Dash to all the participants. It's going to be a great time. And how cool would it be to be like, hey, guess what, guys? Right down the street, there's this cool place called the House of Nakamoto. It's crypto paradise, and they take Dash. They have Dash ATM. Go there and check it out. So I have, because of my personal professional plans of promoting Dash, I would really love that one to pass. But if you notice 3 downvotes, what's up with that? It's just,
and then there's only 1 no vote.
Yeah, it's just clearly a bunch of troll sock puppet accounts and stuff. Someone got in there and just trying to mess things up. It happens every time there's a nice little price bump, which, by the way, congrats everyone, back in the top 5 of the market rankings.
Oh yeah, we bumped Litecoin, didn't we?
Yeah, I think I said that in the Dash Force.
Don't get attached to it.
I have one of my friends who I was talking to yesterday. He's like a more traditional investor, like and he like runs like an investment firm, and he's also big into crypto, and he was really into Dash from the investment standpoint of he's looked and done research, looked into the fundamentals. He sees there's a solid team, development funding. He sees there's vision. Like he sees like all these like things that a hard-headed investor checks off. And one thing he said is about the crypto markets, because he's gotten into that. He just says, I know it doesn't make any sense because Litecoin's ahead of Dash right now. And I'm like, you said it, not me. Like,
yeah.
It's like that's how you know that the charts don't mean anything really, is that they're put in.
Well, so there's that's another market play though. What is it? First to market, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many years does Litecoin have on Dash?
Couple, like 3.
Yeah. I mean, and what's a couple years in the crypto space?
Like an eternity.
Yeah.
But if you think about it though,
Right.
Ethereum, like I don't remember when Litecoin came out, right? I came to the scene in 2013. Litecoin is 2011, and Ethereum was what, 2014?
The pre-sale was
2015.
Yeah, the pre-sale was 2014.
Yeah, so
the
Ethereum
pre-sale happened 2014, and the live they went live 2015.
Yeah, so it's a very new coin, yet just came onto the scene, just destroyed everything, and was kind of touted as this thing that's going to unseat Bitcoin. But
they did 2 things.
Mm-hmm.
They differentiated themselves distinctly from Bitcoin in a very different way, number 1. And number 2, they courted developers like no man's business. Like they had documentation ready to go. That's like, here's how you code in Solidity. They had that.
Yeah. Ethereum's by anyone's estimation, a very impressive project, right? I mean, obviously we all have our like, well, I like Dash better, or well, they have to solve this or whatever. And I'm still kind of like on the fence on what's going to turn out from Ethereum, because they have some scaling issues and other things to deal with first. But in a lot of ways, Ethereum is kind of the #1 crypto. I mean, in terms of transaction volume, definitely is, right? And in terms of in terms of paid developers, probably, I don't know, it's up there. It's
how
like
many, sorry, I was going to say how many people are actually.
It's hard to track how many.
Yeah,
there's a lot of companies out there that are using it, but not all of them are public. Not all of them are, working on the Ethereum blockchain or publicizing themselves and what they're doing. Most of them, I think, are VC firms investing in teams and recruiting from the community and putting together teams around ideas. I think that's what's a lot of it happening in the Ethereum space for the most part. But one interesting note on Ethereum, I've gone to a number of Ethereum meetups, and I've seen a lot of presentations where these guys are trying to solve problems that we are also working on at Dash. And it's really, really encouraging, because what I'm seeing is, things like naming. Like we're trying to solve usernames, right? You're going to, part of evolution is you're going to be able to pay by a name, right?
Yes.
Well, they're trying to do the same thing on Ethereum.
Just interject into that conversation on that point really quick. So what's to stop someone from, right now, have you figured out how to stop someone from username camping? So what if I just took Chuck Williams just right now, and you took the Desert Links or whatever, and now I can't have my favorite username?
Yeah, well, let me tell you, I'm a little bit concerned about that, and the answer right now is it's going to be Wild Wild West. It's going to be first come, first serve. So
that was not a very good movie, by the way. No disrespect to Will Smith at all.
But the other part of it is we're we've already agreed that we're going to respect trademark laws, trademark and copyright laws. So if somebody camps on Coca-Cola, they're not going to get paid. Not like the old internet days.
Now
it's going to be handed over.
That seems very fair to me. The clinch is going to be who decides that? How is that decision enforced?
If it's
centralized,
basically. Well, no, it's like we're going to respect the laws of countries basically as best as we can. And if it's trademarked or copyrighted, like officially, like there's prior work and all that kind of stuff, and it can be demonstrated, then there will be a mechanism to basically disable the use of the username. That doesn't mean that your account will be. Matter of fact, we can't do that. We cannot grab funds separately from a username. So as I currently understand it, the way that it's designed.
Can you just unassign the username then? Just say you still have all the funds.
That's
you can still
idea,
log in, but the username is up for grabs. Now it's interesting because this whole naming thing is not by a long stretch unique to Dash. I remember Namecoin had a lot of similar things where the people would just domain camp on that kind of stuff. And then the library is another decentralized content platform by blockchain they have a sort of bidding thing where if there's some sort of content, like who owns it, it's almost like someone bids for the intellectual property rights over that. And so this is one of those really big things. Of what happens if you don't have a centralized service? How do you enforce these things that everyone wants to be enforced, really?
Yeah, there's a lot of conversations going on around that, and some of those conversations are landing in decisions that are landing into evolution design and the DIPS designs. What I can tell you at this point is that there will be rules around the names. I don't think there's, so we're looking at standards, different kinds of username standards. So that'll be a part of it. But then, the bidding and the squatting and things like that, like that's stuff that's going to be wild, wild west initially. But we've got some ideas on like mediators. We're going to need mediators like eBay has mediators or things like that. But the best way to think about the initial launch is like Twitter. Like you're going to have a handle that is the unique identifier on the system, but you probably will also have a friendly name that will be displayed. And you may be able to control how that friendly name is displayed when you create those contacts in the system to other people.
Yeah, so a couple more questions on that now that we're in the meat of the matter, right? So first off, can you change your handle, your username?
Yeah, but there's going to be fees associated with it. So every action like that, name changes, account changes, contact changes, those kinds of things, there's going to be a small minor fee associated with that.
Cool. Yeah, BitShares did similar. The BitShares has the names, and they've had the names for a while. And yeah, they had some kind of a bidding process. We should probably look kind of into maybe how they've solved it, or maybe take some of their ideas.
I
think it's so a lot of that's being looked at, and some of it's being discarded.
Yeah, it's interesting how that all works. Now, here's another thing. How many accounts can someone open?
As many as you want to pay for.
Yep.
Cool. So it costs some money to open an account?
As a matter of fact, it's more than just costing money. It's because if you don't have any Dash, you won't be able to set up an account, right? So the way that it's going to work is there's going to be a special kind of transaction introduced that will allow you to receive an invitation from a friend or from like a faucet or some kind of public merchant or somebody that you're dealing with. They will send you an invitation that's good for a period of time or good until used or something like that. The design isn't 100% finalized, but it's going to be a two-part process such that creation of account requires two signatures. The new account that you generate using your HD wallet key generation and the account that sent you the invitation, whether that's a public merchant or your friend.
Is it a one-time fee to create an account?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like that monthly bullcrap.
No, yeah, one-time fee. Not only is it a one-time fee, but after your account is created, you're going to end up with some credits.
Okay, I like that.
Like tokens that the system will use to do system operations. Okay. And a few of those initial system operations are going to be like okay, associate this address with this username and index it in the master list, right? And that'll be a minor fee.
Yeah. Like a private send fee. Like
Yeah,
that
sort of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. What do you
it'll
think?
be small. It'll be negligible.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you think if there's too much of a barrier to entry? If it's like people have to get an invitation and they got all like, if some people with really short attention spans or really short on funds maybe don't want to deal with all this
Yeah, no,
stuff.
we're going to build it into the wallet.
So what if people decide they're just going to use like the Jax wallet for Dash? They're just not going to use an Evolution wallet at all. I see Albert's making a face.
That's the thing. Yeah, any wallet out there, just like any wallet developer, like if they want to enable it for the Evolution platform, it's going to have to be an Evolution-enabled wallet. So some of these features and functions will have to be built in, special state transactions.
That won't happen with Jax. Just saying.
Well, so we're going to solve that problem too. That's what the DAPI is about. The DAPI, the Decentralized or Dash API, to very easily work these things into your platform. So we're going to try and have a standard way to access the network to create those transactions.
I just think of multi-cryptocurrency wallets as let's just add as many coins as we can.
Of course,
and not
as many
like
coins as we can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing. So here I am in 2017. I drive a stick shift car, and my next one I want it also to be a manual transmission. So how many people do you think are just going to want to use Dash the old school way with the long addresses and private keys and all that stuff, and just won't want to do Evolution at all?
Well, all that works. All that's going to work just fine. None of that changes. So you'll be able to import old wallets. You can do old transactions, all that stuff. It's going to be backwards compatible.
Sweet.
Well, your coworker Ian Marshall just came into the Lion chat and says, "Dash me outside."
Dash.
Because
how about that?
That's his intro. That's his intro comment.
Hey, I got a screenshot for you. Hold on. Okay,
Cool.
You guys talk for a minute. I'm gonna pull up the screenshot.
That sounds good. Black Tank says, "Guys, this is not decentralized, and I think this is worse than PayPal."
What are they talking
What's
about?
not decentralized about it?
Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that stuff
More
because
specificity.
yeah,
Yeah, one thing I saw I saw Vitalik talking on I think it was in San Francisco, something
how
called
much he loves
Disrupt.
Putin. Sorry.
I think he might have mentioned Putin. Yeah, he said when Putin starts talking about it, and I think Paris Hilton starts tweeting about Bitcoin, you've reached peak something or another. But yeah, he was talking about decentralization, and one of the concerns was that how they're going to do all this stuff without if everybody has a node. And Vitalik said something about he thought 500. He threw that number 500. I guess he was talking about kind of like our master node type things. He thought that 500 would be sufficient. Well, we have already got over 4,500, so we're going to automatically be more than that. Let's see what Chuck's got. He's got something.
Here you go. This is part of my presentation. So yeah, you think of it like Twitter. You're gonna have a name, and we're gonna make it easy enough for grandma to use.
Dash grandma. I wonder how many Dash guy and Dash dude. I wonder how quickly those usernames are going to be taken up because, yeah. So Black Tank got back to us saying, "No normal user will pay for a username wallet. This is not the way you can bring Dash to more people."
BitShares did it.
There we go. Simpsons did it.
I'm sorry. What did he? What was the statement? Nobody's going to pay for a wallet.
Normal user will pay for using a username wallet. This is not the way
That's
you can
true.
bring Dash.
That's why the users don't have to pay to create an account. The users do not pay.
So who pays?
Pays. The friend or the merchant pays, and it's like half a cent or a penny or some nominal fee.
Oh, it's a
That's
penny,
not like a
penny now.
penny.
It could be $1 in like 20 years.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
What happens if you are a social outcast with smelly shorts like myself and don't have any friends who want to invite you to an Evolution wallet? How do you get one?
So when you install the Evolution wallet, there will be a view when you create your account, and it'll say, okay, now plug in your invitation code, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to say, well, I don't have any friends and nobody's invited me. Say, oh, well, look down here. I have, I can get an invitation from Dash, like directly from Dash. Or there's these other merchants, and it could be like Amazon, Coca-Cola, the coffee shop down the street. Like these are public merchants who will be searchable names, and they can register themselves, and they'll be searchable in your area or geographic area, they may put up the fee. You. Now, what the merchant gets out of that is they get to have you as their first contact.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Very
or
cool.
you get them as their first contact.
So we just got a message from August. Hey, guys. August Domanchuk is a university student from Iowa, future developer, big-time hustler who crowdfunded his journey to the Dash conference.
Oh, August, yeah, I read about it.
Yes, and he's on his way to London right now because he successfully crowdfunded the trip for himself and his buddy. So they're going over there.
Nice.
They're going to be all like, dude, this is awesome. They're going to come back and they're going to change the world. Life will never be the same. Amen. So he says, so it's going to be invite-based off to start off to help with scaling?
Yeah, that's the idea. It's just invite-based, yeah.
Yeah, like everything cool, you got to know someone.
Yeah, BitShares did the same type thing.
No,
Ours is actually better. It sounds like we're doing different things.
Well, I hope it's better. Otherwise,
you don't have to, because we can be one of those people. Like Dash will be the #1 option, right? You can get an invite from Dash, and Dash Core will be like your first contact.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember what Gmail was invite only?
Oh.
Yeah, it was for a while.
I'm not like I honestly don't have a problem paying like 0.001 Dash to make a one-time payment account fee, especially if it
and the thing is
credited to my account in some
and you're going to get a lot more out of that. So you create the account. Let's say you invite your friend, right? Not only do you get your friend as a contact, but any transactions that you make with that contact is going to be way, way lower because you've already established kind of a state communication. So the channels and the mining fees are it becomes a very cheap second layer out of the gate between you and him. It's almost like Lightning Network in my current understanding, but it's not that kind of technology at all. So don't say that.
So Raymond asked again, right? He says, what if I take the Coca-Cola name? And of course, you said, well, copyright respective, blah, blah. What's the mechanism by which that will be delivered? Assuming this might be something that's still being worked out. But
it's
like what happens?
It's being worked out, but it's
right. What if? So my handle is the Desert Links, right? What happens if Albert is a big asshole and he just takes the Desert Links? He gets an invite from Brian, who's complicit, so therefore an asshole as well, and gets him the Desert Links as his username. And I'm just like, hey, that's mine. I'm gonna have to do like a bunch of underscores in my name. That sucks.
You can buy it from me.
And so, hey, I want my user. Dude, where's my username? What happens then, and who decides what happens then?
Here's what I would like. So first off, you don't. As far as I know, you don't have your name trademarked. You probably have prior art, so you may have copyright on it because you published under that name.
Yes, in fact, I run a site called the Desert Links since 2011. So I mean, there's precedent.
Yeah, so in that case, like copyright would almost trump, and then we would probably invoke the mechanisms that are in place to disable and offer it back to the copyright.
What if I hardcore catfish?
That's the clinch right there. Is what mechanisms?
Well, Steam used the Bitcoin Talk accounts and I think Facebook accounts to get your usernames. That could be some kind of option or something.
Yeah. So say everyone prove that I am the guy who owns the Desert Links kind of intellectual property, as it were. I'm the guy who owns that. Who specifically executes a decision to give me over that title? And what's the process for that? And is it just like, is it Dash Core? Is it some other people? Is it masternode elected arbiters? Like, how does this whole thing work?
Okay, so so I can't answer that directly, but I can speculate.
Okay. Cool.
So my speculation is that one of two things is going to happen. Either we're going to have some kind of mediators who are paid by the Dash network or receive payments for equitably resolving situations like this, and those mediators will review them, and they can be appealed or go through processes and so on and so forth, right? So there's this whole idea of having a mediator group, which is more decentralized in the spirit of decentralization.
I dig it.
Then there's also basically the idea of a more centralized option, which would be a multi-signature kind of approach, where you have a few decision makers who basically look at the situation, and then they have to agree by multi-signature, and then that lands on the blockchain as a public, yes, we gave this name to this person kind of statement.
Well, I'm not sure if it's a speculation or more of like something that I think would be a good idea, is obviously you have some sort of have a decentralized way of electing mediators who will make these kinds of decisions. And that means if they're doing a terrible job, they can always be removed by the network, right? And the other thing is to also have a Masternode-enabled veto for emergency sort of cases. And by the way, this system, I think, would work very well for sporks as well, right? I hear down the roadmap that's going to be like a multi-sig thing where a few different people can go and activate a spork. And obviously you can't it'd be annoying to just like have to have the masternodes vote for every spork, because sometimes it's a really time sensitive thing. And obviously there is a certain bit of masternode support because masternodes vote for the core team that then executes this, right? But it would be nice to also have a veto in case it's like, oh, some rogue member, like the 3 spork people of core decided to go crazy. They got bought out by Monero. They have guns to their heads, whatever the hell. And then they go and they decide to disable a key function of the network. And masternodes should be able to like all vote on just vetoing that decision in only that case. And hopefully it's an almost never
keep in
used
mind,
thing.
Yeah, we're not working in a vacuum either, right? Like our guys are looking at what's out there and trying to compare and trying to come up with a good system that works as smoothly and quickly as possible. We have a lot of tools at our disposal. There's a lot of options, and another option that comes to mind is the masternode quorums, which are basically a subset of masternodes that are randomly selected, and those random selections are 5% are newer, 25% are older, and then there's like a 50% in the middle kind of range that are randomly selected every block, I think, or it's going to change every block. But that may have even changed too, because there's been some design shifts there. But that's another tool that may be available. And if you look at like how Decred does their voting, I don't know if you've looked at Decred at all and how they manage their votes.
I've heard a lot about Decred, but I've never looked into them.
Yeah, so there's a podcast out there, if you listen to it, where the creator of Decred, I think with the Ether Review, maybe.
I actually went on one of the Decred podcasts. I didn't go on, but I was in the live chat for one of those because Fluffy Pony from Monero was on, and I just Mark Mason and I got on to like sort of troll him with a couple of questions, and one of the questions got read out by the Decred people, and then you could just see the look on Fluffy's face, just like. But anyway, that's how I know about the Decred people. That's as close as I've gotten.
And it's just this is again speculation, ideas, but there's so many options as to how that could be resolved in a way that's equitable. Our team is definitely looking at it. We're debating about it. We're looking at the pros and cons of various options, both from a technical perspective, but also from an end user perspective. And sometimes, like somebody will come back with an update to a dip, and I might say, well, hey, that doesn't really work for users, and they'll be like, oh, okay, well, how about this? Let's change it up this way. And then so we'll do a few laps on it. And so we're trying to harden what's going to work.
I would like to see something like Steam did, except for maybe we use the Dash.org, your user profiles in there. If you've got a user profile on Dash.org, they kind of honor that, because I think we've all got, user profiles on Dash.org. That would
I like that. That's an interesting angle. Yeah. I mean, that's a way to show preference that seems reasonable, right? Because we are like you're saying, hey, tribe, you get your tribe name, like for sure, you get your tribe name.
All right, let's wrap it up, Joel. You ready? Get the after
sounds
party
good.
going. Yeah, we got the after party will be next.
Yes, I'll have to get that together. And yeah, so thanks very much for joining us. Those of us, we always send this out to Dash Force people first, and then back to the Dash Nation Slack, etc. But yeah, we're starting to do this thing called the after party, which just sort of is free for all for up to 10 people to just jump in here and just hang out and talk off the cuff, just whatever, swear, drink, whatever you want to do. I mean, we already kind of very casual around here on Three Amigos, but it's to the next level, no agenda, whatever. Just dogpile it in, right? So we're going to go off to that now. So thanks very much for everyone for joining us. Thank you a lot, Chuck, for waking up from your nap to come and talk about how awesome Dash is and all this cool stuff that I'm pretty sure there's a lot of stuff that's going to come out of this conference. This is going to need to be repeated. People are going to be confused about. And thanks for getting that process started. Thanks to Brian for always having that awesome GAT in the background. And thanks to Albert for joining in and
thanks for the input.
Taking in for, pinching in for Mark. And so it's a great time to be in cryptocurrency in general, and it's especially a great time to be in Dash. And stay dashy. Same bad time, same bad channel next week. Say hi, Chuck. Say something.
I got stickers. Come to the conference.
Mark's got a bunch of swag. Yeah, free swag. Hit up Mark. Him and Coin Gunner doing a live thing.
Mail me stuff.
Cool. All right. We'll see you in the after party, hopefully.
Peace.
Peace.
I gotta work.
Okay, bye, Chuck. Party pooper.